Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and welcome. Welcome to the It's Not Tarot show. And no, it's not tarot. In fact, it's not any kind of card reading you've ever seen before. And is it possible to look at something thousands of times and never really see it? And could this be the case with playing cards? I'm Ana Cortez, author of the Playing Card Oracles, Oracle Alchemy, and the Doors of Somlipith, and I'll be your host for the next hour. The format of this show is we start off with a theme or a topic, then complete our time together with live readings, getting advice from the playing cards for you. So make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Today is August 4th, 2022, and it's the 62nd episode of It's Not Tarot. And our theme today is we have a guest. We have a guest as our theme, and the guest is Alllison Gomer. Allison is a very special person in my heart and someone who I can't wait to share more of with you guys. Allison is the niece of CJ Freeman. She's my first cousin. She's a psychotherapist in Denver. She is a cacao ceremony facilitator extraordinaire. And we're so fortunate to have her here today. Allison, welcome. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I'm super excited to have an awesome conversation around the cards. I absolutely adore these cards so much. I use them in my practice with my clients, along with creating ceremonies with cacao. And like how you introduced this show today, it really is, the cards really do show themselves in a way that's mysterious. And I look at these cards all the time, and then I see things that pop out that I haven't seen before. So thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for being here.
So excited.
And I'm going to eat chocolate in commemoration of your visit today, because I want to be in the spell of chocolate while I'm talking to you. Allison channels cacao like no other.
Thank you. Thank you. It's cacao is, it's special in that it has amazing properties. If you eat cacao that is then not as processed as say like a Hershey bar. And with the cards, I feel like cacao and the cards, actually, there's something really magical about being in meditation with chocolate and the cards. Somehow there seems to be a great doorway that opens through my heart when I use cacao and the cards together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I used to work at Cacao here in Santa Fe. I started working for them just doing card readings with CJ's cards in the chocolate shop. And it was like the perfect combination. I felt like I was living the movie Chocolat with Juliette Binoche and Johnny Depp.
Yes. Yes, I can feel that. I mean, it's so, I really can't put my finger on it exactly. And I guess that's how I feel about the cards too. Like, I just can't totally, I can't have it all in the grasp of my hands. There's so much to explore with chocolate in our psyches, and also with the cards. And so it's like the chocolate kind of opens up the conversation with the cards. And
it creates this state where you're like, you're in a spell. You're in the spell of chocolate, and it's intoxicating. It opens the heart space. right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it allows for whatever needs to come through for either ourselves or for others. And it starts a conversation. I mean, chocolate, it is a heart opener, but it also, there's something, it provides some energy in a way that's different than like caffeine. So it just
Yeah.
provides this energy of like a grounded stimulant to help open, like I said, the doorway to the conversation with cards.
Yeah. And didn't you just recently facilitate a cacao ceremony with cards?
I
Like last
did.
week?
I did. And it was like mind blowing what came through. I pulled 4 cards from the lovely alchemy deck.
Nice.
And the first card that came up was, yes, the first card that came up was Queen Leia, the Queen of Clubs.
Huh?
And I'm looking at her and I'm really studying in, and I see that she has, well, I see that she has like this kind of pointed triangle. And I'm meditating and I'm meditating on her, and I'm meditating on what the cacao ceremony is going to, is what the landscape is going to come out to be. That's what happens is I pull cards and then I meditate and I allow whatever kind of vision comes through.
Mm-hmm.
And pyramids started to come through. And I don't really know these cards on a level of like, memorizing them from the book, or I really don't know them that well. I just know them in my own way, and I take from the book. But I started like going into this pyramid, and it's like all about, the whole setting was in this pyramid. And then I look up what Queen Leia is about, and it's pyramid knowledge. I
Right.
about died. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, so magical.
Right.
That I was able to like connect, and I had no idea. And she was the guide. She was the structure for the ceremony.
Nice. I love how you just pulled her randomly and you trusted that and you trusted your intuition about that card
Mhm.
and you allowed that to lead your ceremony. I love how you work intuitively. You and Naga
Mhm.
work very similarly that way. Naga will say, you know, she doesn't know what's in the book. She's looked at it, she's read parts of it,
Yeah.
you know, but I love that she's tapping into her own connection and trusting that with
Yeah.
the cards.
Yeah. 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 It to me, well, it's fun, number one. Like it's just it provides an element of play. And it helps, it's like when I get these connections, it helps strengthen my intuition, like I can trust it more.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it's actually really nice to go back and look at what the card, like the structured meaning is, and then kind of play off of that. So
But not use it as your first like go-to.
yeah, because I could have looked in the book and been like, oh,
Yeah.
but the ceremony wouldn't be the way that it actually unfolded in the organic, natural way that it did. And she wasn't a person in my ceremony. She was actually the structure. She was the building.
Wow.
She was the knowledge. She was like the vibe to the entire ceremony, like the leader, that just her essence, her spirit.
Cool. And then you drew 3 more cards just consecutively, kind of like a thread.
Well, I kind of did like a 4 card spread.
Mm.
So I do, I draw 4 cards and I line them up just like we would do for a reading. And I look at them and I take a picture of them and I look at how they're laid out, just like a reading.
Nice.
And I take
Nice.
them separately, like I just took Queen Leia, and then I meditate on each one of them. And how they are laid out is usually the unfolding of how the ceremony is going to happen. But unlike card readings, I really play around. So sometimes I'm like, this card, I don't really like it here. I kind of want it to be in this other area. So I don't, that's the difference is I kind of move them around. I get to know them a little bit differently. It doesn't really work out in the story, so I'm going to put it here, or maybe they show up a couple times. So
that's fun.
I really play a lot, and
That's so great.
it really provides I'm just the tool. I feel like the cards are really the life of what the ceremony is supposed to be. And so I just kind of listen to what I think is gonna work out, and it somehow does. So.
And I'll give a spoiler for those people watching. I think I've probably mentioned this before, but chocolate is in the new book. You knew that.
I don't know if I knew that. If I did, I forgot. Oh my gosh.
Allison and I talk. We talk.
We do.
Actually, Allison is in the new book a little bit.
I am in the new book.
I use a couple of examples from Allison. But chocolate is, I just felt like it wasn't negotiable for it to be in the new book and its use with these cards. So we go deep into that and kind of give us a stepping stone for anybody.
Yes.
You start exploring that connection and what's possible. And like you were saying, Allison, this deck, there's like a commonality with chocolate. It's like they're meant to work together, even more so than CJ's other decks. I gotta say, there's something about this particular deck that's coming out as the Doors of Somlipith, right?
Yes. Yes.
They present, chocolate and this deck are like perfect for ceremony, perfect ritual, objects, and like the magical potential of the combination is just off the charts,
Yes, I agree. And I feel that with high quality and even ceremonial cacao chocolate, that because it has the psychoactive ingredients that it does have in it, and they're very gentle, but they do have psychoactive ingredients. I really feel that is it ignites something within us, especially if we have an intention, and it's perfect to pair ceremony or ritual with. And these cards are doorways into spirit and into different even dimensions, quite honestly. And so it's like they really do, the combination of them, it really is a perfect setting. And I really didn't know that you were doing card reading like in the chocolate shop. Like, to me, that it's like it's like a story from a long time ago, and it was like almost like it's almost telling the story of now. Like, it really is meant to be, even back in the day. I love that.
Yeah, and in that movie, Juliette Binoche was like, she was telling little fortunes. She would guess what people's favorite chocolate was. Remember that?
Yes.
And there was something else, like I don't remember. I'd have to watch that movie again. But yeah, there's something about chocolate and the art of, intuition and sitting with someone and either giving a reading of some kind or yeah. So I wound up in a really magical chocolate shop with these cards, and yeah, it's part of the
They're all meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and Andy says she used chocolate to connect with people and to connect people with themselves and their loved ones too.
Yes, community.
Mm-hmm.
Community and gathering. And that's what I feel like these cards bring.
Mm-hmm.
And ceremony brings
Mm-hmm.
community. And same with a Choco community. I love it.
Chocolate. Yeah.
Choco community. So it's a trio.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and just to repeat, there's quite a bit in the new book about combining these particular cards with chocolate, and some practices and ideas, and I feel like it's a great way to enter ceremony
Mm-hmm.
with this deck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like ceremony is something that I think not everybody really knows how to do or feels confident with. But chocolate with cards sort of provide a sort of like obvious ways. It feels very natural. It feels like a great vessel for ceremony when you combine chocolate with these cards. You know, it just kind of takes on a life of its own.
Mm-hmm. It does. And I are you reading? Are you reading?
Yeah, I just read Andy's comment. Will you include chocolate recipes too? Uh, well, not an exact recipe, but some suggestion for recipes. Yes, some recipe suggestions there is in there for working. There's some fairly specific stuff, and they're about combining chocolate with cards,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of worked in the background of you and Naga preparing a ceremony last year, or
Yes,
maybe it was
yes,
the year before now, like
yes.
a while ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I've sort of lived vicariously through Allison to uh, to research the chapters on chocolate and cards in the new book. So
Yeah, and I ceremony doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be a big thing. I mean, it could literally be you and the cards and a cup of cacao, and that's your ceremony.
right,
It doesn't have to be a full-blown 2-hour thing.
right,
Really, we are in ceremony when we're connecting, like in the movie, like when we're connecting with ourselves, with the cards, chocolate, with others.
mm-hmm.
It can be very simple, and then it can also be very intricate and I guess bigger.
Right.
It can
There
be
can be preparation, and you can have a date plan. You can invite people. And
right.
what was your ceremony last year? I mean, last week. What was that was for a group of people?
It was for a group of 12. I connected with a woman that she does a 10-week workshop called Heart Sense here in Colorado. And she, at the end of her 10-week workshop, she does a retreat. And so she invited me to come do the ceremony as part of the retreat.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's always so fascinating because I like I was saying earlier, I pull the cards, I meditate with the cards, I write what comes through the cards and what comes through in my visions. And then I bring the cards to the ceremony and I create an altar with the cards. And so it's an honoring of these spirits that have come through, that have given us the landscape and the opportunity to be able to experience it is what we will experience through the ceremony. And then I don't always do this, but it felt like appropriate to share about Queen Leia and the pyramid knowledge. And it's always it's fun to be able to teach people a little bit about the cards and where the ceremony and the landscape and everything came through. So
that is so sweet. And you, for this ceremony, I know in past ceremonies, you write out like a substantial visualization for people to journey through.
Yes.
During the ceremony.
Yes. So it's not like I wouldn't call it typical meditation. It is a journey. There's a lot of magic that happens. We go to places that don't exist here, things, all kinds of really cool, amazing things happen. It's very detailed, lots of visuals. And some people, I've had people fall asleep. I've had people experience visions that like they knew that something was going to happen and then it happened. I have people say that they feel like they go to different like places, like they were somewhere else. And then I've had other people that are like, oh, I'm usually so in my head when I meditate, and this time I was in a deeper place. So everyone has their own experience. And it's like I said, I feel like I'm really the tool of like I'm the channel, and whatever comes through, and I create it around the intention in the cards.
And it's all guided by the cards.
All guided by the cards. And there's usually, I always like to have, it's always pretty natural. We're in the ocean or the desert or we're in Egypt, or we're in the mountains, or we're by a river, or we're in the, like I said, we're in the ocean. So there's always a natural landscape. And then I do like to invite animals to come through as well. And those aren't always directed by the cards, these specific cards, but sometimes I do feel different animal energies that actually do come through the cards. So I guess it kind of depends on what the ceremony is. And yeah.
And why do you work with this particular deck as opposed to, because I'm sure you have a copy of this deck. You ever work with these cards?
I do. I have. In fact, the ceremony that I think you may have written about in the new book I was working still with the original deck. There was the 8, actually, scratch that. I was working with both decks.
Okay.
Sometimes I like to integrate because I like, for instance, the 8 of diamonds. Is it the 8 of diamonds? Is that the one with the fireplace?
I love that you see it as a fireplace.
I can't.
No, the one I'm thinking that you might be thinking of is the House of Good Fortune.
Yes.
Yeah, so I love that you see it as a fireplace.
Okay.
I love that. You get, kids, when you don't read the book. And I love it. I love it. I think it's perfect. I love it. I love that your intuition is your first line of defense there.
Always. And I incorporated both because some of the images I just love from both of the decks, and to combine both of them together when creating ceremony is just the images.
Nice.
Really, can really like open up a new world. However, this deck in particular, the alchemy deck, is there is something that is so fire about this deck. Like it's money, it's the bomb. Like it's got this like really intense, very maybe it's the color and the paintings that come with this deck, but there's something that is so layered that I find with the alchemy edition, that it just like pulls me in ways that the other one doesn't do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, a few things come to mind when you say that, because I think of this. I think the first thing I thought of was how CJ was a Sag,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which is a fire sign.
Mm-hmm.
And he had such that fiery energy. I mean, he was like an inferno, and he was his energy was so expansive, so Jupiter, right?
Yes.
And so that comes through the cards. And I know when he was creating, for example, this deck that you're calling, you know, referring to as the alchemy, that's going to be repackaged as the Doors of Somlipith, that deck occurred. This was the first deck he created. This was the first. And I feel like there was such, I just see it as this like kick, you know, like when a cop breaks down the door, like this kick that literally opened the door to another dimension, you know? And there was so much energy behind this deck. There was so much going on with my father, and it was such an outlet. I think he would have internally exploded if he hadn't had this creative outlet at that time. There was so much going on, you know, so much going on. He was under investigation for this private detective thing that he was involved in. He was still going through the divorce with my mom. There was so much going on. He was losing his children. You know, there was so much emotion. And I think this was his survival. And he channeled so much fire, so much emotion. And I think it literally broke down a door. And he was so psychic. I mean, this dude, unbelievable.
Yes. And I was going to say, it's like like he was able to channel whatever was behind this door, or like these other dimensions. And he was, at his psychic ability, he was able to tune into that and really bring that in. Because that's what I pick up on when I am with these cards. There's so much intelligence, like psychic intelligence behind, and psychology and spirit and love, and like they're not, and I think the people, for those of us that work with these cards, we know that they're also like, they're not like soft.
Right. No.
In your face. Like they are going to tell you they're going to tell you the truth.
They're going to tell you what's up. Yeah.
Tell you what's up. And I think is why that is why I use these cards. And that's why I do believe that the ceremonies are as powerful as they are, because there is some, like, people come out of that and they were like, oh, like this last ceremony that I had several people say to me, I had resistance. Like, it was scary. There were things that I didn't like that were happening when I met the dragons, or there was a lot of dragon energy that came through in this ceremony.
Nice.
And like, it was intense. Like, they were like wrapped in a cocoon, and there was like fire that was over them, and they were really going through a phoenix, basically a rising. Like, they were burning the stuff that they needed to let go of, and it was really intense.
What day was this ceremony? Just curious.
It was last Friday.
Okay, so that was the day after the new moon. Sun and moon were in Leo, fire sign.
Ah, okay. Right? Yes.
It's amazing within our community, the people who did the 4-card spread for the lunar cycle, of the ones that I've seen, like 5 out of 6 had a fire card, a diamond card, as the first card leading into the cycle.
Wow.
And yeah, and the dragon, I mean, there's so much that makes me, that clues in for me. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much. I can feel that dragon energy right now.
The thing that was really interesting about this is that I saw dragon in places I'd never seen in these cards, like the 9 of Hearts.
Yes. Yes.
I was like,
Which
wait,
was
hold
my
on.
spread. Yeah. Which was
Really?
my lunar cycle spread.
Okay,
That's
tell
right.
me about that. Tell me about the dragon in that card.
Well, it goes back to, okay,
Before
does
I-
everybody, let me pull this out. And
Yeah.
I write about this in the new book a little bit. And it's small on there. I mean, you can use this card for a long time and not factor in the dragon. That's what you're talking about when you're talking about how layered it is.
Oh, yeah.
Things come forward when you're ready for it, when your energy is calling for it. There's a little tiny, beautifully rendered little gold dragon at the bottom of his cloak there. And he is part of the Order of the Dragon, right? Which is like super, super ancient, is part of the heart suit energy and part of the bloodline.
And this
You know,
makes so much sense because this was a heart opening, cleansing of the heart. So there was like fire being directed at their heart. I didn't know that. I
yeah,
didn't know what you just told me. Like, whoa, that's mind blowing.
right. Right. And I mean, there's a lot going on with this card, and a lot that a lot of secrets regarding the dragon energy and the power of this card. And it's all in these little symbols that you could just overlook forever on this card. But the deeper that you want to go, and then you start combining cards, right, from the different decks, and different pieces of the puzzle start coming together.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because in my new moon spread, I'm going to quick flip and show this spread. I want people to see this. This was my spread for the lunar cycle. So you see that 9 of Hearts there, and there's so much water here, and already the 9 of Hearts is the maximum water card. It's like the ultimate. And there's like, and look at, even on the Jack of Clubs in the second position, what we see on there is water. And he's not even in a water suit, but he's bringing the water, and all this water as it meets the fire of Leo at the top. It's like you were talking about, Allison, with this fire energy directed at the heart. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just freaking out as you're talking, thinking about the resonance with my own lunar cycle spread. There's so much here. I could just go off on this spread, but I just wanted to show you guys this. And then of course the dragon comes in, because in my mind, when I see the 9 of Hearts, I'm thinking of the 9 of Hearts in all of CJ's decks, right?
Right.
Like, they're cataloged in my mind, and I'm thinking of the dragon as well. You know?
Wow. Wow. And that spread is like, it's almost like it's like bursting open with
Right?
this water energy. It's just opening up
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
cleansing.
there's a lot of emotion going on here, and a lot of attempt to control all this water and fire energy, right? But I don't think that, I think it's really about releasing control, trusting, and allowing whatever comes up from the depths, right? And it's funny today as we're talking, the moon's in Scorpio, so we're again in water. And we just see this shadow side in all these cards, the 5 of Hearts, the 9 of Hearts, Leo. There's so much beneath the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And we want those opportunities for things that don't come to the surface very often. We want to see those things. We want these opportunities.
Right. And that is, I just feel so deeply that these cards bring things to the surface. Like, it's inevitable, it's happening. They are going to show that to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if you thought you could just ignore it in your personal life, the cards are going to be like, no, you're not going to ignore it. This is what you need to look at.
Right. Yeah.
It's there for the brave, that's for sure. And I think of you as very brave.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Allison.
I just I do lead with my heart, and I lead in play. I mean, it's ironic, playing cards, right? There's a play to it. It's like it's finding. I think I'm really, in my own life, I'm trying to get out of this like ideal of needing to follow things in a perfect kind of way and the structure that I've been taught. Like, I'm really working into a place in my life where I am wanting to create out of my desire. And these cards are really helping me do that.
I love that. I love that, right? We have to be so adult-like in so many areas of life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a mom, you have to be the adult, you have to be on time, you have to organize stuff and like show up. But when you pull your cards out, I love how you were saying you just like, you rearrange cards if you don't like where they show up. It's like, you're the kid, it's your game, it's your cards.
Right. And yeah, it's like, even I'll share a little bit more. Like, these other 2 dragon cards came up in the ceremony as well. I had all of this, and I had Leia.
Oh, what a beautiful, I love that you saw that dragon connection between the 3, because that would be easy to overlook. You'd be like, okay, what does the 9 of Hearts mean? Okay, what does the 3 of, you could get into those compartments. But I love that you saw the similarity in the subtleties.
Yeah, that's that's starting to happen for me. That didn't happen in the beginning. The more that I work with them, like we've been saying, the more it's like, oh, there's that. I never saw that little dragon, or the pyramid in Leia's gown. I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
I love it. I was floating at the Oracle Tide on the new moon. We had a really nice new moon meeting. We missed you there. And one of the quotes from the new book that I recited and that we worked with as an exercise in the group was, the quote was, something like, each layout is a poem from the heart of spirit. Each layout is a poem from the heart of spirit, right? Spirit's very poetic, and each layout is really a love poem. Like, spirit loves us so much. And so the rest of the quote is, look for things that rhyme. Look for things that rhyme, right? If you want to see the poem in the layout, the unique poem, look for things that rhyme. And that's what you did when you saw the rhyme or the repeat between your cards, right? The dragon, the dragon, the dragon.
Mhm.
Like, I'm always looking at my spreads now from, okay, where's the resonance between cards? How do they resonate together? What gets activated in a certain card by the presence of another card? Because they share a certain dynamic. I want to see what those are, because then the spread speaks.
Yes. Yes. It's they intermingle and connect and communicate
Yes.
with each other.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Whoa.
it really is a poem.
It is a poem.
I think that's what I see when I'm doing my work, my creating my ceremonies it's like these images come and they begin to like form a story, a landscape, a poem.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to you before that like when I'm in my head too much, and I know that this is how it is with traditional card reading too, like, you know, meaning like you're not writing a ceremony, but you're card reading, that if we get too much into our heads, it kind of like locks us in. And
That's our curse, right? It's our repeating story in a way. As adults, that's how we study things. We learn to study like that by going to school all these years, and we sit down with a book and we learn to regurgitate shit. Sorry. But we gotta like reprogram ourselves through good card reading. Is not that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I think we all start off that way. I definitely started off that way. Only the advantage I had was there was no book. I had to write the book. I'm like, great. How do I do that? Like, there's nothing to go on. Like, I have to write the book. I'm the expert. Okay.
Right. And I think that that's what is so scary about card reading or creating a ceremony. It's like, I'm supposed to be the one that's coming up with this information. And it's actually not me. Like when I can get out of the way of myself
Yes.
and be like, oh no, I'm not really creating this. I'm the interpreter. I'm the one relaying the message. Then it all kind of comes through.
Exactly. The best parts of the new book were just like, they wrote themselves. I felt like I was finding something rather than, like I was just in search of something that already existed. And I just had to like stay open enough to get myself out of the way.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think that's the art
Yeah. Yeah.
that,
And having that confidence, like, you know what? I am made for this.
right.
That was the difference for me between the new book
Mm.
and the Playing Card Oracles book, which is the only other book that I've written that sort of has that intent of being like a complete how-to book.
Mm.
Was that I was like feeling pushed off the diving board when I wrote the first book. And then the second book, it was like, no, I'm made for this. Like and like you said, it's not even you. So that gives you the confidence. You just allow the voice that wants to come through and speak, that the voice that knows, to come through and just speak.
Right. 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 And then when we can really hear that and trust and just go with it, that's always when it's that's when that's where the golden nugget is. Yeah.
So just a little spoiler. I've asked Allison if she wants to write a book about her visualizations for cacao ceremonies using these cards.
Yes. I cannot wait. That will be, I have a vision. I think that will be coming out in like maybe 23.
That's soon.
Yes, I already have visions of how it will be compiled, and I hope that the ceremonies that I have written it'll be a compilation of those, and
Mhm.
and then people can use the cards and have have their own ceremony, use the ceremonial book in combination with their cards.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Because not everybody, everybody's skill or talent, like you've brought such a unique, niche, unexpected, like way of working with these cards to this practice. And each person here will have their own very unique place within, whatever practice they're doing. But you can't expect everybody to be good at doing all sorts of things or to be comfortable or to have it feel natural. So I love that your book will be available.
Yes, yes. And I hope that it will be like maybe an inspiration or a starting point for others, or they can use it in their own ceremony.
Mhm.
If they don't want to create their own, they can read and sip cacao and be with the cards, or just read a story. I mean, the meditations are really, they're even just when you read them and you're not in a meditative state. I have had people tell me that it's their you still go to that place and you can still see everything that is there. So, and that's one thing else that you just mentioned, like, not everybody is going to have the same experience working with the cards. And I think that also is another amazing attribute to these cards, is like it provides, you can really do anything with them. They're not just a one-faced kind of
Mhm.
card. And that kind of brings me to, like, I haven't just worked with these cards with ceremony, but I've also used them in my psychotherapy practice.
Mhm.
And I've used them with people who are sitting in my office. And we're not having spiritual moments here. We're having, like, we're talking about like clinical depression, and it's been so like eye-opening for me to use the cards either in the session or before the session, or even after the session, to provide a little bit more of context. And they always, always, always are in alignment with my clients. Like it never fails. So that's been another, I guess, a learning moment for me, is that these cards, like, if you have, I don't know, I'm just going to use acupuncture. Like if you do acupuncture, you could use the cards, or really in any business, you can use the cards to provide a tool of, like, to accent your knowledge or your practice.
100%. I mean, they really are, well, they're living energies. They're
Yeah.
they're living organic energies that we work with every day. But we're not aware that that's what we're doing, And as we'll learn more when the new book comes out, they're so very connected to astrological energies, planetary cycles, planetary energies. They're just part of what we do every day without being aware of it. So these just bring to our attention what we're already working with so that we can become more conscious of how we navigate energy.
Yeah, I am so excited for the new book to come out. I'm so excited to hear more and to learn more about what you were just saying about how we work with these energies on an everyday basis, but we don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's going to provide another, it's like a whole nother layer, a whole nother like veil that has been pierced, that we can be able to consciously be able to interact with these energies that we do on a daily basis, and use the cards to provide access to those energies.
I'm freaking out. I'm getting more insights just as we're talking about stuff like with yeah. I wish I could say more. You know, there's major spoilers that I can't really talk about, but I really feel like all the pieces, the pieces of the puzzle will be here for people between the playing card oracles and this new book. And I feel like my work is really complete in a lot of ways with this Doors of Somlipith book, that people will have the tools they'll need to move forward with the 52 cards in a way that is just going to go interstellar, totally cosmic.
Yes, it feels really expansive to me, and I can't wait.
That's cute. Oh, Teresa Sayu, but we're back to the Facebook now. She says, did I come to the wrong place for a read? LOL. If you're still here, Teresa, we can do a spread, right?
Yeah.
We can do a card reading. We'd love to do a card reading. And we can get Allison's input on your cards as well. So, or anybody, whoever types in, if you have a question, you know, whatever kind of question that has meaning for you, type it into the chat and we will bring it to the cards. You now have Allison and Anna at your service, so don't be shy. Yeah, I did not announce that today. We just had so much to talk about. So great having Allison here. And you guys, Allison's a psychotherapist. I mean, what more do you want for, let's have these readings. Come on. Get a real answer here. So I'm just going to keep my little eyeball on the chat over there. There's a little delay between our broadcast here on Zoom and the time that it feeds into Facebook. So I always know that there's a little delay there. But there's so much going on in the world too, Allison. I mean, I think some topics are very sensitive and but I also think there are a lot of topics that people are really curious about. I had written some down here. I was thinking we would have time to get to those in the Oracle tag, but we didn't. You know, there's economy questions. There's weather questions. There's, there's talks in the media about potential food shortages or other things. I mean, there's so much going on globally. It's almost overwhelming.
Yes.
But those are good questions too.
Those are. And I think sometimes, well, I love the idea of asking questions about weather, or talking about questions about like anything really, because I think that's also the magic of these cards, is that you can really go to wherever you want in whatever.
There's a Lionsgate portal too this coming Monday on 8/8, and that's a very big deal as well. We could ask the cards about energetics for that. as well, what it could mean on a global scale or a personal scale or personal advice. I had an appointment on Monday, 8/8, and once I figured out that it was 8/8 and that I had made that appointment, I just called and canceled it. I don't want to do that on the Lions portal. Like, I got to think about what I want to do on the Lions portal, but I know it's not that.
You don't want to be in an appointment.
No, not that appointment.
So are we waiting for a question, or should we?
I'm checking in on Facebook, and let me double check. I'm not missing something. There is no comment. I think maybe Teresa bailed.
Okay.
When she saw that we were just chatting and chatting. So
okay.
Do you want to propose a question to the oracles?
Let me think here. I actually am feeling the Lion's Gate.
Okay.
I'm feeling that. But I'm not totally sure how I want to propose the question. I'm
getting the 8 of Hearts, first of all. For
okay.
starters, is making itself known.
Okay.
Like high energy, high heart energy.
Yes, I almost feel like not asking a question and just kind of pulling some cards maybe around Lion's Gate. Seeing what comes up.
Okay. So this to me is like high mischief, right?
Yes, high mischief. I also there's kind of a play energy as well that I feel from it. I see I could actually be bleeding a little bit into the other deck, but I do find the 8 of Hearts with like a garden. Like I do feel kind of this like lushness to it.
Well, the fawn is very much a nature spirit, very much associated with nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also I find that this card is kind of one of those like upheaval, like there's kind of this like upheavalness to it.
Yes. Disorder in the expected ways or according to the conventional ways, right?
Yes.
Like here's the next card.
That's so interesting. He's just so heady.
I know. Yeah. These two are very interesting together. And when we look at them together as they came up, I almost see the fawn, right? Like working his magic on the king.
Yes, I see that too. And the moon is really prevalent for me. It really feels like there's like a lot of like intense, like I don't necessarily want to say lunar energy, but like an intense energy that he's kind of like sprinkling or like giving to the king. But the king feels very like solemn to me. Like there's kind of this like seriousness, but is softened by the 8 of Hearts. Like
there's more playfulness.
Yeah. There is.
I love that. And I feel like just looking at it and staying really open to my storytelling self, I feel like that paleness on the king's face. I feel like he is like in the moonlight, like the moon is shining on him.
Yes.
And that he, in the nighttime, as the club suit, the dark suit, that he's maybe in I feel like he's hypnotized in a way, like it's almost like his eyes are going like spirals, like he's hypnotized by the fawn and the full moon,
Yes.
like a waking sleep, like he's sleepwalking almost.
Yes. I really get that too. I don't know what it is, but there's kind of this like, I think it might be his, so he's got the lining on his coat or whatever the king is wearing. But I looked at it for a second and I almost get the sense that like if that's a brain or whatever he's holding, that there's kind of this like offshoot of energy that's coming out
Mm.
of his braininess. Like the fawn is sort of inducing him to sort of be in this trance, and then that is actually allowing for him to find the liveliness that is within him. So there's kind of this beautiful interplay that's happening, like a mingling.
Nice, like his brain is like sprouting a little bit or radiating or like
Radiating.
antenna off of his brain.
Yes, but his brain is in his heart position, which I also feel is
Mm.
really interesting.
Mm.
Like he's like holding his heart, but it's a brain.
Nice. Nice. So he's thinking with his heart, maybe, or he's connecting with his heart as he's thinking. And especially through this heart card, the fawn,
Mhm.
it brings out that aspect,
Yes.
that connection between the heart and the brain, the mind. And that reminds me of my second card, which will be in the Lionsgate. In the time of the Lionsgate, in my spread for this lunar cycle, we moved down into Lancelot, who's very reminiscent of the king of clubs, right? That's his king. And Lancelot wears the heart symbol on his chest. So he is the combination between the club and the heart, or the mind and the heart.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, that's trippy.
Wow.
So there's that art, right, of being able to bring together the logic and the emotion,
Yes.
and that combination, how magical that is, and
Yeah,
how it sort of opens a portal, in a way, the gate
it
of
does.
lion.
And I can say that that is definitely something that I am like experiencing presently. Like that is, I'm like really bringing the two together. And so that was for me, that means a lot. Like just those two cards together and thinking about the Lionsgate
Wow.
it like really aligns with what I'm experiencing and going through. So
I know we're going over, and I don't really care. If someone needs to exit out, they should, but
I should say I will need to leave here fairly soon.
okay. I want to pull this up really quick. Well, I just wanted to show, and it's not on my screen anymore, but this reminds me of in my layout, the Jack of Hearts is upside down. His wings actually are submerged in the water. He's got water above and below him, and his wings, it's like he's flying or traveling or finding his freedom under and within these unconscious spaces of the heart.
Mm, yes.
Mm-hmm. Something I just noticed about my spread today.
Wow.
I didn't see that picture.
That seems really powerful, like a really important message.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And something that's coming up that I just want to express to everyone is
Yeah.
I think, I love reading cards. alone. Like it, you know, I write my ceremonies alone, and it's cool, like it's good. But it is so amazing to come together with two people and
Mhm.
have this awesome like back and forth about the cards and playing off of them. And like you just saying that is going to give me the ability to see him perhaps in a different light.
Mhm.
And this is what happens when Naga and I get together. We read cards and we're like, oh, what about this and what about that? And that would never happen if I sat here alone and drank my
Mhm.
cacao. You know,
Mhm.
there's just such a magic of about getting together and having community with these
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of end on that note that it's the cards are the cards until like they only come alive when we work with them, and then when we work with another person, it just it's like it exponentially grows.
So read for somebody, you guys.
Yeah,
If you are practicing with cards, take that uncomfortable step, call someone
yeah,
that you know and say, I'd love to read your cards. Do you want to come over and have tea with me and play with cards? It doesn't have to be like this formal thing that you have to study and freak out and wonder if you're doing right. Come over to my house and let's play with cards, just
yeah,
like you would invite a friend over when you were 6 years old. And
exactly,
you just get your dolls out and you didn't worry about how to play.
exactly. That is the beauty of it entirely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Allison. I love what you bring to our community so much.
Thank you. I really am. I'm so honored, and I feel like being here gives me so much. Like it's a gift actually to be here, and I can't wait to continue. So
Oh, well, we are going to be doing more together. I see a comment here. What is a Lions portal? And are you checking YouTube? Thank you. I'm trying to keep checking YouTube. The Lions portal is 88, right? It's that master number, that repeating number that appears on the 8th of August. And it's known as the Lions portal. And so things definitely tend to happen around 8/8. Have you noticed that in past years, Allison?
I have, and it is a portal. It's a like I like to think of it as like a threshold. Like it's kind of like this opening. And I mean, lions in general hold so much
Mhm.
symbology, and there's there's a lot that can be downloaded, information and
Mhm.
intuition,
Yep.
and um, and it can also be a time of struggle. I've actually had several years of Lionsgate portals where things were kind of turbulent for me.
As new things come in, energy, it's a high energy time. So definitely, you guys, give yourself space on Monday. It's a Monday. So, there could be that tendency to bulldoze the more subtle energetics that are available for you on the Lions portal. Give yourself time to meditate. Give yourself a little downtime to receive more fully. And I just want to point this out super fast. This is the 8, right? The 8 of diamonds. And what is on the door of this card but a lion? And there's actually renditions of this in CJ's notebooks with a great big feline lion on the sidewalk here. So this card has always been really symbolic for me in the deck around the Lion's portal. All the power that we think of associated with the number 8, right, is like super amplified during the Lion's Gate. And studying lions and their symbology and what they mean as animal totems and so forth is another thing you can do to sort of unpack
Yes.
the Lion's Gate.
I am going to sign off. Thank you guys so much. I can't wait to come back next time.
Thank you so much, sweetheart. And big love to everyone who showed up today. You guys are the best. Thank you for joining. I'm wishing you a fantastic Lionsgate, and we'll see you back next week. It's going to be the full moon, so more. Always more to do around here. Bye, everybody.